Alright, we're doing this thing again. I'm gonna go over things I think are wrong and things I think are good in this. It's my first video review in like a month or two, so yeah, let's go.
Hey, but now they tell me I switched up. Take this backwood to the face, then grab my cup. Shawty say she coming through, she on her way to fuck. It's a lot.
I'll just play the whole video through. So I don't really think that the whole glitch style that you tried to do in this last clip really fits, but we'll go back to that. I want to go through it sequentially. So this whole like lens flare is bleeding onto the black bars, and a lot of glow that bleeds onto the black bars in general. Should watch out for that. This like pan crop at the very end of the sign is very strange. It's way too linear, and you can very easily see when the keyframes stop and end. Pan crop, especially with signs, needs to be a little more immersive. It needs to feel like it's part of the sign and not like it's done in post. If it feels like it's done in post, it probably doesn't look good. This sign is also very high FOV, which is it's just a weird framing too. It's not like, I think if you had it either like waist up or they're completely towards on the ground, like more of the ground you can see close up, but like this is a little bit in between and it doesn't look good because it's in between. I don't know if you understand what I mean. This pause time doesn't really look good either. I feel it's kind of lazy, but that's my little personal preference, I think. And again with this sign as well, where it's like either you should have it more zoomed in and only focus on the waist up, or have it on the ground and see more of the ground close up. It feels like this is a bad in between those two things. There's also this weird like velo bump at the very end here. That very like you shouldn't sync to every like lyric. I think it's being synced to boy, but it feels very strange. It feels almost like there's something that's not right, you know. I don't know how to describe it. I don't think you should sync to this beat. I think it should be like maybe one. It should be like a normal 2-point or 3-point velo, however you intend to do it. Adding that extra sync point makes it feel a little more awkward than it should be. This glitch doesn't really look nice to me. I think that you need to add like 1 or 2 glitch frames on the actual this first sign instead of instantly switching to this sign. And also it doesn't really. Nah, it seems fine. But it's like, it seems kind of weird that this sign goes like this. It's almost like the switch pan just ends as soon as this one goes like this. I'm having a hard time describing it. But I don't think the movement really transitions that well for this one. Also with this cup at the very end of like, look, when he says cup, the velo gets really sharp. And it should be a little more smooth, I think, throughout it. I don't think it should be that slow towards here. Also, there's some weird pan cropping or like FOV keyframing going on here. You can see it over here. That is a little bit distracting. I don't think it really helps or adds or like tracks from the sign a little bit. I'd probably have a constant FOV for most of my signs. Unless there was like a really good reason for me not to have a constant FOV. Also, the FOV stops keyframing towards the very end. Like you can see, it is keyframing here. It is like going to higher FOV. At the very end, like around here, I think it stops, which is a little also distracting. And also, this sign is a little bit too far away and has no. The SFX are a little bit too quiet. So if you listen for it, the SFX, the main one you can really hear is the pre-kill and / post-kill, like Flowican type SFX, like you'd add to a bullet impact. But there's no actual bullet impact, there's no death sound, there's no body hitting the ground, there's no ding sound, there's no weapons dropping sound. Very lacks a lot in that regard. Oh, there's no gun SFX, even because he's shooting as well. I forgot about that one. Also, the flicker happening like that late after the kill doesn't feel like it's part of the impact. It feels like it happens too late for that. And it's a bit weird. Almost feels like it undercuts the impact in favor of the transition. Also, this like thing, I think it zooms in a lot here. I think maybe some manual pan crop towards the end here, and then here, there's no zoom in movement and there's no zoom out movement. It kind of like it loses that movement. I don't know if you know the velocity rule, but the velocity rule states that if there's any movement on one sign, like for example this movement at the end of the sign here, and the glitches and the flicker as well, make it seem like there's a lot of movement at the end of the sign, should be matched. So this sign should also have a lot of movement at the very beginning. That's why you have a 3-point curve, because a 3-point curve will match it. So if you have a lot of movement in the first sign and it ends on a fast ramp, the second time will also start on that fast ramp, so it matches and it looks good like that. The transition will be a lot more smooth, but you weren't able to follow that here. Also this yellow one framer doesn't really match anything. I can see it's kind of like, it looks like to me maybe the iMovie bunny getting cut out by the data moshing, but or I don't even know. But it doesn't look good. I don't think it really matches any of this. I think it should be more based on the actual thing, maybe with pixel sorter on the actual footage. Almost like a cyberpunk glitch. I don't really like how, I'm gonna go back to the glitch thing. I don't really like how the glitches, there's so much glitches in this edit in general. I don't think that this song Lust really fits with glitches. I think that's, I know everyone has watched the Skipper one of Lust, like his client work. I think that's a really good example of how we could do it well. But I think Lust is more like a Miss the Rage or like a really random popular song that doesn't really fit with glitches. I mean, it is possible, but and the environment doesn't really fit with that either, because it's like, I don't know, it doesn't feel like the CFG matches a whole glitch edit. Or the CC, I mean. There's not really CFGs in this game. Let's see. And again, with like what I was saying before, where there's like no movement here, right? Like there's literally no movement towards the very end of this. And then here it instantly like starts the movement, which is, I think actually in this case it works pretty well. But just keep it in mind, like maybe like, you could have like had towards the end of the sign as it starts like slow down a ton. Maybe fade in the POV a little bit, like a very little bit, like on a screen mode or something. Also this right here, this bit slows down a ton. I know you want to like have it so like a lot is emphasized, but I think this is a little bit too much, and it's slowing it down so much so it's where it's killing the pacing and flow. And it's to the point where there's like maybe there's no signs in the air, like there's no frames in the air before the kill, which is super weird. I think this glitch is 2 frames long. Yeah, it is, which is very weird. I wouldn't recommend doing that. 1 frame on the invert, not 2. Also, don't use the reverse SFX sound for the knife pullout if you're going to keep it not, like, if you're going to not reverse the knife transition. It's kind of weird as well. I think this transition could be a little bit better. The sign movement doesn't really match here, so I think what you should do is have this sign mostly zoomed in, or also because the FOV on this is really high when it should be pretty low comparatively. Have it zoomed in a bunch, and then start zooming out a ton and add whatever radial blur, and have this also have radial blur on it. Maybe even, actually, nah, yeah, just from radial blur. I think it would really help a lot, and for this, some scaling out would be appreciated. I think it would make it look a lot better as a transition. And even like maybe a blue sign or like S Luma dissolve even. I mean dissolve Luma, I'm saying. Because this sign starts and has like really black, but the background is really white. So there's at least some contrast between the background and the foreground. But yeah, I think there's mostly the zoom out and the pan crop would be really helpful for this. Also, this whole like the fade out is kind of like a waste, I think. If you're going to do that, I think you should put exposure right here, like the first frame it like goes. It doesn't make sense for you to just fade it out and then fade into, and then no fade in to the next one. I'd even maybe zoom into the guy too, because I mean you're zooming into the POV, right? So that would make sense too. Also, there's no impact on this frame, on this shot. Oh, this glitch frame happens for 2 frames. No, that's probably fine because the background changes. I think you should add a bunch of shake on this one, and exposure, like whatever kill impact out you want. It feels like it's really lacking impact because it just goes. I can see there's pan crop at the very end here. You see like the pan crop kind of stops. It's very linear. If you want to, like I said before in the text, you could have it so it lasts the whole time instead of just up to here, and it would fix the problem. You wouldn't have to like ease it or anything, and you would just have it. The keyframe is moving over to the very end of the sign. I think that would help a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna go back here. Oh yeah, on this as well. I don't know if there is. I can't really tell that well. Oh yeah, so it looks like there's like this. It looks like there's a spray shake that's added like right after this glitch for some reason, which would be added at right here. The spray shake and like whatever else you had in your spray shake preset probably should be added right here. It shouldn't start after the glitch. That doesn't make sense. Oh, also there's some of the glitches here are kind of like noticeable, and I'm like, when I watch it, I'm like wondering what they are. Like this looks like text, but you can't read it, and this emoji, the whatever emoji, is like there for like 4 frames. Yeah, 4 frames exactly. Which is kind of weird. I don't like how there's so much focus on the glitch. Also, I think some exposure could be really helpful here. I don't think that it looks good with just the shake and the RGB. Also, some pan crop would help. I think some pan crop going out. So what pan crop like essentially does in the impact is that it needs to be zoomed in before, and then the zoom out provides the impact, not the zoom in. Although zoom in can be impact, it's usually not used like that though. So like for this frame, like I know it's not zoomed in, and maybe you just want to zoom in like that, right? So you'd have like 100, 100, 100, and then on the shot you put it to like 150 or something, like whatever high you want, and then start zooming out from there. So it's a 1 frame zoom in, and then everything else is a zoom out to help add the impact. Also, there's just not enough like impact. Impact is given through contrast. So if you have more contrast in your scene, you'll have more impact. That's why directional blur works. It's directional blur, like I don't know, you put like 40 or 200, it's almost unrecognizable compared to the previous frame. That adds impact. Contrast adds impact. That's a usual like thing you should probably think about. Also, the whites, I don't know what CC you're using, but the whites look really crushed here. It looks like the fall off is really low. Just keep that in mind. I've had it happen to me before. Make sure you're not making it too bright on the CC, or also to kill the brightness like this. Something feels wrong with this sign, but I can't tell what. I think it's the velocity, but I can't. Maybe add some more shake on the kill or exposure even. Also, I think make the depth of field a little stronger, to be honest. I think that the depth of field, it's way too easy to see and read the sign and be distracted by it. Also, with the impact, like I was saying before, again, it's so easy to see the pan crop start to zoom in. You need to ease that, and like the thing just happens, and there's no shake. It's just exposure, and the zoom out should be a lot faster than it is right now. It feels like the zoom out and the zoom in are the exact same, which should not be the case. I'll pull up a paint on that thing. So I think if I had to draw it, let's say like this, and here's the kill, right? And like let's say this is the pan crop. I mean, this is the zoom graph. Oh my god, my amazing mastering skills. So this is the pre, and this is the post, and this is the kill, right? So pre, maybe like this, maybe towards like this towards the end. If you want to zoom in like that, then post should be like this. And usually what happens is instead of pre being like this, pre happens usually like way before, and it looks like maybe this, or like it, maybe even this, or like this, I mean. And pre happens like way before the kill is gonna happen. So like in this case, it could be zoomed in from the beginning and then zoom out a ton. Or honestly in this case, what I would probably do is just blah, 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 like that. The pre is just like normal, and the post on the kill it shoots up to like whatever you want for zoom, and then ramps down a ton. I like how it matches, but the color correction, like the color contrast, is way too different. If you have the green screen layer for the gun, I suggest making it so like the gun. Actually, the guns are even really different too. But like maybe zooming out. I mean, not zooming out. I can't even speak. Maybe cutting out like the background or something. Like doing some sort of background addition while leaving the gun intact. I think that would be good. I think it also the velocity is a little bit too slow at the very end here. Danger sign also I don't like. Again, I'm gonna keep saying like this. The glitches don't really like fit Lust. I don't like how it's glitchy. Also, what I was saying before, here, I said earlier in the comment here, it's so easy to see that you're pulling it, you're zooming in and zooming out on every shot, and it looks really janky. I don't think that's the way you should go about it. If anything, if you want to like zoom in like that, I think that you should have like static zoom ins. Like every shot, you just zoom in 20%, and that's like a cut of zoom in. Like, I'm gonna clear the board here. Like this, and then have like the last one maybe like tinted and monochrome. I mean tinted monochrome, and like maybe even scan lines or something, or grain maybe. Also the zoom in, zoom out here, you can see it also like stops zooming out like right here. Again, linear keyframes, like you need to make sure that either you ease them or you put them out of the like the very start and the end of the key of the sign, so that it feels a little bit more immersive. I don't like the vignette. I don't think that really works here. I think that you maybe had a good idea, but the fact that it's also fading out at the same time kind of ruins it, for me at least. I don't know. I think I commented on everything though.